And welcome to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for joining us tonight. Former President Donald Trump has been criminally indicted. A nearly 50-page federal indictment released today. The Department of Justice has accused him of mishandling of classified documents, obstruction of justice, false statements, and conspiracy. He's now facing dozens of criminal charges. And this, of course, comes months after his first indictment for falsifying business records. Our panel is here. Attorney, I was about to call you Attorney General. Lucky you're not Eric Dick. Attorney Eric Dick, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, who copied off of me in his clothes tonight, and I'm angry. And University of Houston downtown professor, Dr. Dietrich von Bietenfeld. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. So let's begin with you, Dr. von Bietenfeld. When we have a president, former president, criminally indicted for the first time, this is history. We're making history, and not for the first time, but a second time he's indicted after his presidency. We've never seen this before.
No, and you've got the 34-count indictment in New York. We've got the 37-count federal indictment now. And some of this is arguably of President Trump's own doing, because we have unprecedented seeking another term after the interruption, right? Howard Taft went on to the Supreme Court. We saw a number of other justices and even the John Quincy Adams realm of moving back to the House of Representatives after serving as president. But after FDR, we instituted legislation so that presidents serve 2 terms, as George Washington did, set that precedent, and then they went home. And so instead of staying at Mar-a-Lago and getting a nice tan and hanging out with Governor DeSantis, he's now entered the fray. And so he's opened himself up to people saying, well, we wouldn't subject you to this much scrutiny. We'd allow this to go on, the Nixon-Gerald Ford analogy. But since you're entering the fray, we need to make sure to examine you more fully. And so he's opened himself up to this unprecedented action as he's entered into this contest. And I mean, we don't know what to think other than it energizes his base. And yeah, he got booed in Alabama, he got booed in Dallas when he talked about vaccines. So he should be aware of how sometimes when you have that analogy to the brown shirts and people get excited and you get people fired up, sometimes it can come back to bite you.
What we saw here, though, and what many people thought, just like I thought, well, he took him home by mistake. And he was a little aloof about it. But we heard from this indictment detailed reports, incidents where he shared it with other individuals, and he said, I shouldn't have this.
Knowing and intentional.
I cannot declassify this.
Right. Knowingly and intentional, as my fellow members of the bar will talk about, there's a difference between negligence and that knowing and intentional aspect. And then we talk about the sensitivity of these specific documents about the weapons capability of the United States and 5 of our key allies. So it's not just random information, but we look at El Salvador, Honduras, Nigeria, where the governments have gone after past presidents. We don't want to be that banana republic. This is the United States of America. We are a shining city on a hill, and we need to act like that.
Eric Dick, is this a paper cut for President Trump, or he is in serious trouble?
Well, you usually take federal indictments seriously. The indictment in New York, that'll get dismissed. That's not going to go anywhere. But this indictment...
And this is related to business. In New York.
Yeah, the business in New York, I think that one, I don't take that too seriously. Federal indictments you take more seriously, but here's the problem the prosecutor's going to have in prosecuting them, is it's in Miami. There's going to be 2, 3, 4 supporters of Donald Trump there, and he's going to get acquitted. It's going to be very, very difficult whenever they're going through the whole trial process of picking a jury to find a juror find all 12 jurors, or maybe 13 or however many they're going to have, to make sure that they don't have their mind's not already made up. I tend to think this is going to be, there's 2 big problems they have. Is one, it's a president, and he's running for re-election. There's going to be some supporters that are going to be in the jury pool. There are. And then the second thing is the timing of the indictment is very suspect. I think it will go to trial, but I think he'll get acquitted. I'm about 90% sure he'll get acquitted.
State Representative Ron Reynolds, do you agree with Eric Dick or not?
I disagree. And Isaiah, even though I'm no fan of Trump, I think he's the worst president in the history of the United States. He makes Nixon looked like a saint with the obstruction and the allegations that we see before us in his 37-count indictment. When you think about the history of Trump, he came in saying, I can kill someone, literally shoot someone in Manhattan, and I would not lose votes. This is the same man said, because I'm famous, I can grab him by the pee, and it's okay. So this is someone that's always felt that he was above the law, that he was above the fray. He basically would push the envelope as far as he could. I really thought that he had the white privilege, he had the means because he was wealthy, he was famous, and he was the president, that he could get away with it. And I think that now, this is a good message for everyone that no one is above the law, even the former president of the United States. So I do believe that he's going to be tried, and I do believe, unlike Mr. Dick, who I have a lot of respect for, that based on the insurmountable evidence that he will be found guilty, and that we will, for the first time, not just have a president indicted, but have a president sent to prison. And that will cause a constitutional crisis that our country, I don't know if we're prepared for.
And of course, Dr. Von Biedenfeld, President Trump, former President Trump, wanted Hillary Clinton held accountable for her email servers and document retention and having what he considered sensitive documents available on her server. He was on her. He had made multiple speeches on his stump for presidency.
Lock her up.
Yeah.
Right, and we saw this, and it is a serious thing, and a lot of people sort of dismissed it, but as a former holder of top secret clearance, I'll tell you, we get a lot of training on how to protect documents, how to secure documents, and of course, former Secretary of State, former First Lady Clinton knew better than to keep things on a private document, regardless of what anybody says. Oh, she just wasn't that tech savvy. There are plenty of pictures of her looking cool on the C-130 going over with her BlackBerry. She understood the challenges of this, but this is even more dangerous in the sense of, A, the knowing aspect. I have to agree with the state representative that he has repeatedly espoused an idea that he is above the law, and we have to maintain the rule of law. The challenge is making sure that this isn't political, right?
Absolutely.
And so do we want to make sure that he doesn't need Hunter Biden as his VP to avoid prosecution? Maybe.
How the hell you get access to secret documents? We need to explore that. What did you do in the past?